Whispers from the Old House. Chapter 1. The Forgotten Room. The worn wooden porch creaked beneath my sneakers as I stepped onto it, the familiar scent of old wood and overgrown gardens filling my nostrils. The house loomed before me, a two-story colonial with an imposing presence that had been silent for far too long. My grandparents' home, once filled with laughter and warmth, now stood still, harboring secrets only whispers spoke about in hushed tones. After the divorce, Mom packed up our bags without so much as a second glance back at Dad's broken dreams. Now, Emma and I were here to spend the summer in this sanctuary of memories we'd never really known. Emma's fingers intertwined with mine nervously as we pushed open the creaky door. "You think Grandpa Jack left us all these old things?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Dust coated every inch of furniture, and shadows danced across the walls like specters in the fading sunlight. We ventured deeper, our footsteps echoing through the foyer. The same one where Grandma Alice had baked apple pies for countless holidays. My gaze drifted to Emma, who was studying an antique doll's porcelain face with a mixture of fascination and fear on her own. I remember my grandmother's stories about how it would sometimes look out the window, but only when night fell. Emma and I exchanged a look before separating, each wanting their space in this labyrinth we'd stumbled into. Her domain was clear, the second floor where she had inherited Grandma's love for sewing and cooking. Mine, a book-lined sanctuary that held the echoes of Grandpa Jack's stories. As I opened my door, it swung wide with a resounding bang that made me jump. The room didn't feel right either. Too empty, as if the books were watching us. My fingertips trailed over the spines, and that's when I spotted it. A door hidden behind a bookshelf. Locked. Intrigue piqued my curiosity. It was more than curiosity. It was an itch that wouldn't let go. The attic room, which had been sealed for as long as anyone could recall, still clung to the stench of decades that old cardboard and forgotten dreams. A peculiar arrangement of artifacts sat atop a large wooden desk. Seashells, a broken locket, a faded photograph with two children in simple clothing. A diary caught my eye, leather bound, its pages worn from touch. It belonged to someone named Ada. In flowing cursive, the first entry spoke of love and loss. Her words wove tales of despair as if they were written yesterday. As I read on, my mind began racing with possibilities. How did Grandma Alice keep this quiet? What happened to them? A chill crept up my spine when a gust of wind rustled the pages, carrying Ada's sorrow into the attic. "Emma!" My voice carried through the floorboards. She appeared at the edge of the stairs, curiosity etched on her features. "Check out these relics," I said, holding up a locket that felt strangely warm against my palm. The photograph bore no faces, but it seemed they both wore similar smiles. An unsettling sense of belonging crept over me. With trembling hands, she opened the clasp and revealed a faded picture within. "Look at this." It was them. The night air was thick with an unsettling stillness as we settled in our rooms, hearts racing from the discovery. Sleep eluded us, visions of Ada's struggles painting my dreams. I woke to the sound of an ethereal whisper, like someone was speaking from beyond my window. A soft voice that began to chant words I didn't understand. Emma knocked, her face pale and eyes wide. "I'm up there." Her breath came in short gasps as she entered behind me. "Did you hear that?" She nodded, swallowing hard. The chanting grew louder, then stopped altogether. We descended the stairs to find Grandpa Jack standing at the kitchen sink, tea in hand, as though he knew of our midnight vigil. His eyes flickered with a knowing glint when we mentioned it. Old houses have secrets, but this one has stories, he said with a gentle smile. Respect them. The diary had become more than an artifact. It was a doorway into their lives. And something else. Tell me about Ada and Jack. After his brief explanation, I returned to the attic, curiosity devouring my thoughts. Grandpa Jack spoke of love gone wrong and a young couple's demise in the 1800s, but the diary hinted at so much more. As night crept back in, I lay on my bed with the journal clutched tight. Ada's entry spoke of a child she never had. As if waiting for us, the wind howled outside like a mournful cry when the first page fell from the book, carried away by an unseen hand. A gust blew in through the attic window, slamming it shut. I looked at Emma. Her eyes were wide with fear. Chapter 2. The Midnight Visitor. Emma's room was now a sanctuary to her sewing machine and me to books. Yet, both our solitudes were broken by that damned whisper. It began as a gentle murmur, an old man's voice calling out Ada. In the pantry at nightfall, it wasn't just him. Shadows moved too. My heart pounded in sync with each thumping step down the hallway. Alex? Are you? Her voice dwindled as a ghostly figure flickered into view. His face, aged and worn, disappeared behind the shelves. I froze, throat constricting. He turned to us, his eyes black as coal. I backed away from him, but he didn't move. Emma tried reaching out, as if grasping for something only she could see. It's Jack. It has to be. In a flash of light and the faintest echo of wind, it was Grandpa Jack. Or so we told ourselves. He whispered, run before vanishing into thin air. Shadows retreated back up the pantry shelves like dark tendrils. We ran, slamming the door behind us, chests heaving. The first night's encounter ended. They began again after. Each evening, Jack reappeared in the attic with Ada's diary clutched to his chest, urging us closer. With each appearance, the visions intensified. Whispering voices from the walls that spoke of a child stolen away by darkness and hunger for something left behind. It was then I noticed the painting. Grandpa Jack as an old man, standing before a crib with eyes full of sorrow. In it, a baby's first cry rang out. My parents said they never married. Their love wasn't meant to be. The diary revealed otherwise. A child taken by the shadow, forcing them apart. I felt both terrified and connected to our family story in ways too real. That night was the most sleepless of all, but morning light painted the attic with an eerie glow. Emma found an old baby crib up there. Chapter 3. Whispers of the Past. A sudden chill made me spin, diary clutched tight as I faced Grandpa Jack in my bedroom door. We have to know, his face was no longer so youthful. He told us the truth, about their daughter they'd lost and how the shadow took her. They made a pact, a child in love for another life in exchange. I remembered Grandma Alice often speaking of an unborn baby, but how could this be our family's secret? As night fell, we gathered in Grandpa Jack's room with a diary and candles. He revealed the heartache behind that painting, a child they never had to lose. The shadow loomed outside as we read aloud, begging it to leave. In the kitchen, I felt an icy touch. Their daughter was taken. We left messages for her in return. Prayers, love, and tears, as our voices became one. Then silence. The next evening, she cried out from within those walls. In a blur of movement, a child appeared. I held her tight, feeling the weight of 2 generations' sorrow. "Let us leave," she mewed against my neck before vanishing into darkness. Grandpa Jack embraced us both. "You're our family now," he said with a weary smile. With each new night, their love and loss intertwined as ours did, our hearts beating together. I felt the shadow's presence when we left. In the attic, the child stood, gazing up at me. I reached out. She smiled, took my hand, and faded into shadows. "The shadow can't take what's already gone," they said in unison as the crib cradles became our own inheritance. An heirloom that felt right. A life of love had been forged from darkness. We understood Grandpa Jack left to protect us, to give them peace so we could exist. We returned at dusk and found a note on his pillow. "You're home." The house hummed with newfound warmth as they whispered their final goodbyes in the crib that cradled an heirloom connection. Their love was our lifeblood now, but there'd be no shadow to claim us when our time came. As sun broke through the attic window, I sensed a change. Peace and sorrow intertwined like them. It had taken what was never truly gone from their lives. Now, it sought more of its own kind. Love binds families, and this house tied ours in ways we could hardly comprehend. In that moment, I knew that night after night, they'd whisper back, ensuring a love that endured beyond death. Until the shadow found us ready. We stood together, 2 generations against one shadowed truth. We slept easier. Their love kept watch through walls and years. Our hearts an heirloom now, free of darkness for another time. With every passing day, our bond grew stronger and their legacy more solid. In that crib lay the proof of our ancestry, a testament to their devotion. I opened it one last time. The shadow's hunger sated. We'd found peace on both sides of the grave. Our lives were forever tied by whispers from beyond. Love, sorrow, and a family born in this peculiar house. Our parents returned that evening, faces filled with an unseen understanding. When Grandpa Jack passed away peacefully in his sleep, they were there, whispers strong as ever before, embracing us one last time. Love transcended life, death, and the darkness between worlds. Our bond was our inheritance, an heirloom of stories woven into wood. We understood that we'd ensure their love's protection until another generation could take up where we left off. And so it began. We left the old house with a heart full of love and shadows that would whisper back, but never harm us again. In that legacy, Grandpa Jack's story would live on. 2 families, 1 love, forever intertwined. We knew our inheritance, to be watchful custodians of their bond until another child came for it all. And when the next set of hearts passed these wooden spoons and cradles, they'd continue their tale,